Hey guys, this is Kevin and Aisha Shelton with the Marriage and Real Estate Podcast,
where we navigate partnership, prosperity, and parenthood.
Hey guys, this is Aisha Shelton.
And this is Kevin Shelton.
Welcome back to the Marriage and Real Estate Podcast.
Welcome back.
It is episode.
So what are we talking about today, Mrs. Shelton? Episode.
We'll be talking about short-term rentals. The good, the bad, and just our experiences.
So to or not to do short-term rentals, right?
To or not to do short-term rentals.
There we go.
You always messing up my title.
What did you come up with originally?
To do, I don't know.
So you can't hold me accountable for something you don't remember.
True.
No. So when we jumped into that second unit and we started the theming, what we were really creating was interest, right? So by creating that type of experience, people came and got a replica of basically what it's like to visit the city. So we did have the mural and we did have the Texas themed furniture and artwork and everything in the house. So it was we called it the Houston House.
Houston House.
And people would come, and want to take pictures with the mural and have gatherings, not necessarily parties, but outdoor, cook and barbecue and stuff. Not necessarily barbecue. We didn't barbecue.
That was a rule.
That was no barbecue.
No barbecuing at the Airbnb.
Out on the patio, you could eat food. You could cater in your barbecue.
Right, yeah.
And eat food. And both of our units were in the medical center, are close to medical center. So they did really well for that. And that was really when the market was starting in Houston. I think 2017 was kind of when Airbnb was really starting to tick up. We also started educating other investors in Airbnb, contributing to the densification of the market that we see today.
The densification, yes.
I said densification?
No, I know, I was just
it's a whole bunch of units in the same area.
There are, yeah. Lots of people came with their units after, and I'm not saying it was because of us, but just there were lots of units that
it just
came.
happened.
Right. And so some of the challenges, some of the fun things about having an Airbnb in the city was that we catered to a lot of medical center guests. So people that were in town for treatment or their family members that were getting treatment at the MD Anderson Cancer Center. We really tried to target medical center
adjacent people like
traffic.
Families.
That was our ideal client or our avatar. What we found is that depending on our rates and the weekends that we would get more than our avatar. So even though it was a small house with 3 bedrooms and 1 bath, somehow we still attracted the party people.
And people, we didn't welcome it. People would lie. People would flat out lie and say, hey, we're coming to town because my grandmother is sick and whatever. And then they'd be smoking weed and partying
on the patio or in the backyard. And I think because we were owner occupants, we had more, not owner occupants, but
we owned our unit.
We owned the unit. We had more of a connection to it. And so we had the Ring cameras all around the house and on the doorbell. And even though I felt like our Airbnbs ran efficiently with systems, we were still really glued to that camera.
Well, number one, it was interesting and exciting because people do weird stuff, right? So
that's true.
We'd have people at 3 a.m. pull chairs out the dining room and go in the backyard, and they want to have powwows in the backyard, and then people would sneak around trying to dodge the camera and smoke, or
we had non-smoking units, so
we had these crazy people who were like doing, I don't know if it was heroin or something, but all the spoons were in like all the corners. It was crazy.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Oh, you ain't see that, but all the spoons were in they weren't like burned or anything, but they had spoons in the corners of the house. It was very strange.
Weird. I mean, who knows what people are doing in these houses?
No.
Some of my not so favorite moments were Kevin breaking up parties at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, she didn't like that.
I did not. I would literally make him stay on the phone with me as he drove out there. And then I'd be watching the camera the entire time. And then when he arrived, I would watch the doorbell camera or the garage camera to see the interactions and stuff.
And I'm 6'4", 200 plus pounds. And I don't know why She'd worry so much.
Because you're one person and there would be 4 or 5 different dudes in the house and you coming to break something up, or you don't know what state those people were in. At any rate,
I mean, I know what state
I'd always,
never mind.
I always just didn't want any trouble. A lot of kids.
Neither did they. So
No. A lot of kids would host parties there. You know, I think you have to be of a certain age to rent an Airbnb, but we had a
They
high
would lie,
school-ish party happening.
they were in their 20s.
Whatever.
So one of the last parties that I broke up, this girl said, hey, me and my father, now we never took local guests. It was like against our rules. This girl was local, but she had a whole story. She wrote a whole soliloquy in her thing. She said, coming for a daddy-daughter weekend with my father. He's older. We want to spend time, blah, blah, blah. This girl checked in. Number one, they checked in late, which was super it was like midnight.
Questionable. Yeah.
And then it was like person. And we just get notified on the camera like ding, ding, ding. So we look at the cameras and they having a full party. Not only a party, it's cars lining the block. I mean,
Yes.
cars for days. And you could look on the exterior camera and just see cars lined on both sides of the
And
street.
people
all the
walking
way
up to
down
the
the
house,
block,
just
yeah.
like trails of people. Now, mind you, this is a 1-bathroom house, just one bathroom.
Less than 1,200 square feet. That house was, it was 1,240 square feet.
And the house was what, a 1950s house?
It was originally built in like 1946.
Okay, so you can imagine that the septic system was sensitive as hell.
Well, no, because we replaced
You
all of it.
replaced it, but still, it wasn't
But the
equipped.
problem is it's one restroom.
It's one bathroom,
Yeah.
not equipped for that kind of traffic. So anyway,
Yeah.
Kevin goes to break it up, and what did the girl say? Didn't she say something like, "You like, hey, didn't you read the rules that there's no parties?" And she was like, "You went to kick him out."
Oh, yeah, she said something like, I ain't read that. I ain't paying attention.
I ain't paying attention to that.
Oh, I
And she-
said you accepted the rules when you made the book, and she said I ain't read that stuff.
Anyway, I absolutely hated that
Oh, it was
part.
fun. And like literally, I stood in the driveway for an hour after the party and just waving cars off, and people would drive up and go, "This the Airbnb
This the
party? This the
Airbnb party."
Airbnb party?"
That's not even funny, man. Oh my
Why?
God.
It don't matter now.
It doesn't matter now. So we really, I think we were too emotionally vested in the properties, right? As hosts. I know that I was, because even though we had great automation and great systems, like, to be honest, I can't remember the last time I stepped foot in those
That is true.
Airbnbs.
I think you didn't actually step foot in them houses until we sold them.
It was, I didn't. But that just goes to show that we had great systems in place and we had great people in place. We had a great team, right? And so, I mean, the turns and the
Everything
restock,
happened.
everything happened like clockwork by automation. And
Shout out to Stay Clean,
to Stay Clean. If
which was 5-star at the time.
it was 5-star. So if you currently have Airbnbs in the Houston area, Stay Clean Short-Term Rentals is the place to be, the place to go. She will
And
get you all the
Sage.
way in order.
Shout out to TJ, because TJ got us in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So when we first were learning more about Airbnb, TJ Jajani was the one who showed us
Yep.
a lot of the systems and things, and we ultimately went and taught a lot of classes with TJ. So
Yeah.
Shout out
And
to that.
it was symbiotic, because once we jumped in,
Mm-hmm.
we really jumped in and created, good marketing
Yep.
materials and systems that we had picked up from other places as well, that it was just a really well-run business.
no, and we did that for a couple of years, and then actually, fate would have it that literally right before the pandemic hit, we sold both our Airbnb units. And the reason why I say that one bathroom came back to bite us in the ass is the straw that broke the camel's back. We were at the movies, and because I'm a contractor, I did a lot of the maintenance on the homes, and I renovated the homes, so I knew them kind of in and out. And we went to the movies, it was midnight, and the toilet went out at the 1-bathroom house.
They were both at the Houston house.
No, the Houston house was 2 bathrooms. It had 2 bathrooms.
But that's where the toilet went out.
No, toilet went out at Sherwood.
Okay, finish the
So-
story.
Anyway, we're at the movies, toilet went out. Get a call, hey, toilet's out. go through all the protocol. Have you checked this? Have you checked? We checked all that, toilets out. Damn. So I don't have my tools with me. I don't have anything with me. We're at the movies. I leave Aisha at the movies. She was all of 9 months pregnant at the time. And leave her at the movies, go buy tools at Walmart. So I'm at Walmart. You laughing at me?
No.
Oh, so I'm at Walmart buying all the things that I think I may need to fix this one bathroom. Get to the house. House got like 6 people in it. You know, people peeing outside. It's the stupidest stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Touch the toilet. The handle was stuck, and all you had to do was jiggle it. And I was pissed. And I go back to the movie to pick up Aisha. She says, sell those goddamn houses.
Well, yeah, but so at the Houston house, when they had to dig up the
plumbing,
backyard?
That broke too. So Houston house, we bought the house. The house had been previously renovated. We just did an aesthetic renovation because all the infrastructure was supposedly renovated when we bought the house, right? And we bought it from another investor friend of mine, or friend of ours. So it was kind of understood that they did all the work. Well, what happened was they actually didn't replace all of the sewer line. They replaced everything going into the house from the connection. The connection is what ended up breaking. So there was a concrete, I'll get technical here, there was a concrete pipe that ran into the sewer that collapsed. When it collapsed, it stopped the plumbing for the neighbor's house and our house. So all we getting is backed up toilets, this and that and this. So I called Aisha, I said, hey, we're gonna have to snake this toilet, but if the snake doesn't work, then we gotta tear up the ground because I know what this is. She says, okay.
How much is that gonna cost?
And I said, look, I don't know. God. It could cost up to, $2,000.
Was it $2,000? Because I remember some number larger than that.
No, that's what we spent. If a regular person would have spent
$2,000, and I remember them saying like it could cost up to $10,000 or something like that.
That's for somebody else.
But
for us,
the fact of the matter is, $10,000 was a number.
Yeah, but
okay,
that wasn't gonna happen anyway. So the problem was all the work that went into it. So we ran the snake. Snake didn't work. I was like, okay, we got to dig up the backyard. Dug up the backyard, because mind you, the plumbing died right before we were about to sell the house. We were probably 2 weeks from selling the house. So we had to completely repair all the plumbing, put the entire house back together. We did this in 3 days.
Yeah. I just remember the huge hole in the backyard.
We have pictures. It was
the
a deep
amount
hole.
of work that had to go into this. I was too through. When I tell you I was too through, I was like, they gotta go. And I mean, everything happens for a reason. And when I tell you, like, when things are not going right and God says move, just move. Because thank God we did. I think the last one, we sold both of them in 2019.
We had
the
our
last
baby.
one we sold was in February of 2019.
Of 2020.
Of 2020. And then the pandemic hit.
Like that in March.
And
so
it decimated.
And the crazy part about it
Airbnb.
is, right when the plumbing and everything was going on, the buyer who was buying it, now we sold both homes with all the furniture. Mm-hmm. We had to sell them creatively because they had all the furniture and we didn't want to move anything, right? We didn't want to deal with all that. So we were basically building up the market. We sold them for well over what they would have appraised for. So we had to be creative in how we fit that furniture in. And we had 2 conventional loan buyers, and they didn't have to go through like HUD inspections or anything like that, because if they had to, that would have been a deal stop.
A whole nother issue.
But the appraisals were like right after that. So putting the house back together for the appraisal was key. And we had to take part of the fence down, dig up the backyard, put it all back together, lay new sod, put the fence back, and do all this before our appraisal.
At any rate, it was a lot.
That's the fun stuff I like.
I'm glad Kevin had fun because I did not like any of that.
Oh, that just
and
signals
neither
stress for you.
did I like the Airbnb business. So I'm kind of glad they were out of it. But on that note, we know plenty of people that are killing it in the Airbnb game. So that is our personal preference, but in our experience, that's not to say anybody else's experience will be the same as ours, but we just have a few tips.
No, so with that in mind, We got 5 tips. So why don't you break it down?
All right.
You don't want
That's
to
what I was
break
about to say.
Oh.
Dang. So we have a few tips. I want to say it the way I said it. A few tips for those who may be interested in investing in short-term rentals, right? So tip number 1, I think, is to own or to arbitrage. So you heard our story of ownership, and mind you, we had older houses, so maybe you own something newer and don't have the same problems that we have. But arbitrage is one of the ways that people get into the Airbnb game, where they sublet. So whether you're subletting an apartment or subletting a home, you can rent it, put it on Airbnb and arbitrage. And so we have several friends that do both models, that arbitrage and do the owner route of it. So tip number 2
is what is it? Is it automation? Automate.
Automation.
So this is what makes your life easier, right? It's the systems you put in place so that everything from your guest experience to your maintenance and cleaning are all on a schedule with people who get notified and take care of it. So automation is key. If you're gonna do Airbnb, you gotta learn how to automate.
And luckily, there's plenty of tools out there for you to purchase and software that will allow you to automate. But we did it by hand for a short period of time, but we were always looking for the resources and the tools in order to automate. Number 3 is to get a good team.
Yep, your team is everything in Airbnb. So just like with real estate, and like we talked about in our 5 tips for new investors, team, right? You need to have people on your team who help execute your dream. So whether that's your cleaner, your maintenance person, your property manager, your scheduler, even
like administration, assistants, that kind of stuff. So making sure that you have a good team. What's number 4?
Number 4 is know your avatar. Know who's gonna be renting your spot.
That's how you design your home. That's how you choose the rates that you're going to have. Know exactly who you're advertising to, because that will direct what goes into your house, right? And just a good example of that, you wouldn't believe, if you're from Houston, that at the time, this was maybe like 2 years ago, but Pasadena was one of the hottest markets for Airbnb, because that's where a lot of the people who worked in the factories would stay in the Airbnbs.
It was workforce
and so
housing.
People were making money hand over fist in this workforce housing, and it was the bare bones. I mean, it had a bed and, you know, a little table, a microwave, and a little refrigerator, and they were killing it in Pasadena. It wasn't the most beautiful place, but it was functional and it served the purpose that it served, and it was a hot area to earn income in Airbnb. And then you'll find the high end. You know, if you want to go the high end, I know someone who clears $8,000 a month in a high-end Airbnb here in the Houston area. So know who you want to advertise to, and, you know your numbers, as always.
Yeah, I mean, because you can have everything from the house with the pool that people are going to want to have events at, that maybe you cross-market on, you know, another platform, or you can have that little, you know, cute actual traditional bed and breakfast. It's maybe a garage apartment or something like that in your own home, but you have to know what needs to go in each house to cater to the person who would ideally rent that house.
Absolutely.
But yeah, what's number 5?
Number 5 is something that you were going to tell me.
Airbnb is not a passive investment.
Oh my God, let me just tell you, it is not a passive investment at all. And I know that Airbnb is like the hottest new buzzword. Everybody's talking about short-term rental, and people think that it's a passive way to earn income, and it is one of the most active businesses I have ever been in. I mean, it is active physically, it is active mentally, especially mentally. Oh my God, the people.
And see, you didn't get involved like she said, she never went to the houses, but I think just however many moving parts it was bothered you, right? Like the fact that there was turns and people be coming back to back, and there's different passwords and different codes.
That part didn't bother me. That part didn't bother me
you?
at all. It's the people who came. Like, I was so worried about the furniture or the equipment, or, I mean, and it's a high traffic place. I mean, there'll be lots of people.
And people tore stuff up. That, like, know that. People tear your stuff up.
It's just not, it's not passive at all. It takes your time. It takes your time away. And honestly, with the events that happen in our Airbnbs, I could never stay in an
You
Airbnb.
were so like
Oh my God.
PC with it. It was nasty.
I could never
I just want to
stand
say, in this
Airbnb.
complete side note, and this is still in the tips, but it's a
Is
side
this a
note.
part of the tips?
This is definitely a
The
part of
tips
the
are over.
tips. You want to get prepared for this. Is a bonus tip. This is the 6th bonus tip.
It's a 6 bonus tip.
Prepare yourself mentally, emotionally, physically for the fact that people do not care about your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So get warranties on your furniture. Make sure you have your maintenance crew on hand, because people would tear your stuff up. From broken locks, doors, windows, artwork, couches, to makeup stains, blood, and all kind of things. Like, people will completely trash your house or your apartment or whatever you got. So be prepared that's the bonus tip. Be prepared mentally, emotionally for all the damage that will occur.
So I think to close it out, I obviously, my personal opinion on Airbnbs is one that is not in favor of, but I honestly feel like it was a decent business, and it definitely
It was great business.
It definitely had its ups and downs, and we made a good amount of money with the Airbnbs. However, it's not how I imagined myself living or running a business. And we did think that it was passive at first. We thought that it would be another source of revenue for us.
Yeah, we didn't think that it would take as much work.
That it would, yeah.
But, the thing about it is, Airbnb can be a great business if that's your full-time business. We have other businesses that we're way more passionate about. So for us, it was a great 2-year, 2 and some change period of time that we got to learn what we like and what we don't like. So, if you're searching for that right investment strategy, or you're searching to find what kind of investor you'll be, you do try some things out. And we tried lots of things out. And this can be an avenue for you if you understand that it is not passive. It is a job. It's a full-time job. And as somebody who managed a hotel, it's just like managing a hotel. It's the same thing. So be prepared for the work. It comes with, you get a bag with it. It's profitable. It can be extremely profitable, but it is a lot of work.
It is. And now that I think about it, just in these last few seconds, I know that the market has changed so much after COVID. So we honestly have no idea how to run a short-term rental business.
Well, not how to run a short. Yeah, post-COVID is a different
because it looks different.
That's true.
We used to be able to be very selective about the people that we rented to, because we had all of these very stringent rules. But post-COVID, you got to kind of take what you can get.
Which was crazy, because at a point we were even Airbnb in our guest room in our house. That's how we got started. That was our first unit.
Was it?
Uh-huh.
That was a tragedy too.
Oh, so sideline story.
Oh
Before we
God.
close out, sideline story. Y'all gonna love this. So complete sideline story.
Are you gonna love it?
So of course, our first unit was our guest room. We get a last minute booking, right? And this is just a quick little story. So last minute booking, young girl with a brother, which turned out to be her son, right? Coming in town from San Francisco on vacation. Books, says, hey, can I check in immediately? Which is always a red flag, super, super red flag. So we're like, we out to dinner. We're like, all right, cool. They check in at 9:00. This girl checked in, and it turned out to be her son, who was autistic, but he wasn't, I don't know what the terms are.
I think she said that it was her son, and it actually was her brother, because she was much younger.
Okay, then I had that reversed.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, he was like violently autistic. He was very active, right? How do you describe that? Is that violently autistic?
I don't know if there's a such thing as what?
Okay.
Can we backtrack?
They had no car. Well, look, they had no car, no means. What we later found out is they came into town, had no way of paying for anything they had. She said she lost their wallet, but I think their family abandoned them. Well, the Uber driver is the one who actually booked the room on his credit card, so they had no way of paying for damages or anything like that. She gets dropped off by the same Uber driver at our house.
No, it was way more intricate. The girl got dropped off at our house by an Uber driver.
Okay.
And she had lots of needs and challenges, her and her brother. They had lots of needs and challenges that we just simply couldn't meet. And so we had to kick them out. I mean, she literally texted me and was like, "Can I take her to Walmart?" Ma'am, no, I cannot take you to Walmart. And we've had guests before.
Yeah, and our guest room was set up for like professionals.
It was.
So you come in, you come out, you go to work, you leave, right? It wasn't a full house.
Travel nurses in our guest room. We had travel
business professionals
that were
young
in our
couples.
guest room. So we did have a young couple. That was kind of disgusting. We had young couples, but it was very much independent. You came in, you did your business, you left.
Because it's just a room and a bathroom. You didn't get, like, we had a microwave and a Keurig, but you didn't get any, like, refrigerator or stove or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
she needed help.
So she was like, you know, can I get a ride to Walmart? I think she may have even asked for some food, and I was like, okay, this is it, lady. You got to go. So I had to go down and tell her like, hey, this isn't working out. You need to leave.
Before that, when it escalated, before we asked her to leave.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
she didn't have any like obligation to tell us that her brother or whomever he was had a mental disability. She didn't have any obligation to tell us that. However, we didn't know that, and we stayed in a 2-story home and our guests stay on the bottom. And he kept coming up the stairs, and we made it very clear that guests don't come upstairs because that's where we live. And so he kept coming up the stairs, and she would say, you would hear him saying, "Hungry."
No.
Or
You're being real
no,
PC.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, go ahead.
He was beating on the walls and screaming downstairs. It was just odd. Now, mind you, we had no idea that he had a
brand
disability.
new baby.
We did have a brand new baby.
And this guy, he was walking, and he wasn't a guy, he was he
was
was
a
maybe
kid.
like 10.
Yeah, he was.
But he beat on the walls, "Hungry, I'm hungry." And he'd stump up the stairs, and we had a big baby gate. He kept making it to the baby gate, stumping up the stairs, "Hungry,
And she would
hungry."
run upstairs, and this is us hearing it. We didn't see it. She would run upstairs, and she would come and get him and bring him back down.
Usher into the room. So then in the room, we hear
He's beating and screaming.
beating on the wall and screaming. We had an alarm clock in the room. He completely dismantled the alarm clock.
Let me get there.
Okay,
Let
go
me
ahead.
get there. So we were like, okay, this is uncomfortable, and we have to ask her to leave because we did have a brand new baby.
Yeah.
We had just had a baby, and so I go down and tell her like, hey, you know, sorry, but this really isn't working out. And that's when the story begins to unfold. So she comes into town on an airplane, her and her brother, and somebody was supposed to pick her up from her family, but they never came to pick her up. So she gets in an Uber. I don't know where she's going in this Uber, but somehow the Uber driver takes her and the brother to his house.
Well, somebody else had booked the Uber. So when she got in the Uber, she let him know, "I can't pay for anything," told him the story. He takes them to his house.
Whatever, I don't remember how that went down, but the Uber driver takes him to his house. Okay, that's a red flag. Takes him to his house. I guess he gets fed up with the situation, books her Airbnb with us, and drops her off at the house. So I'm telling her, like, yeah, you gotta go. And she's giving me this whole sob story. She's like, I don't have anywhere to go. My family didn't pick me up. I don't have any friends. And I was like, that's really unfortunate, but you got to go, boo. Like, you can't stay here. So we called the guy who made the reservation and was like, yo, she's gotta go. I'm not sure where y'all are gonna go. He was like, that's when I found out that he picked her up from the airport and took her home. It was too much. He basically agreed to come back and pick her up.
And then Aisha asked her, she said, "Do you have any friends?" We called around. We called our other friends who maybe had separate units to host her or whatever. Like we tried to find her a safe space to land, and it was a Sunday night. It wasn't working. So we said, "Do you have any friends in town?" Because she was supposed to be a starting student at U of H or something else she had told us.
I don't know, it was all a bunch
She
of
said,
lies.
"I have a friend out in Katy." Looking at her Airbnb reservation, the friend out in Katy was just the last person that hosted them on Airbnb.
Which was the Uber driver. It was a mess. Needless to say, that was the last time.
It was
and then
scary.
she tried to
It was crazy.
leave. So then when we went into the room, we found an alarm clock that was dismantled. It was like an old school clock. It was dismantled. So the little brother had dismantled the clock and some pins that were on the desk. He had taken all that stuff apart. And then she tried to leave iPad there, and I went to go look at the room afterwards, and I saw the iPad, and I was like, "Oh, she's trying to come back. Let me get this." I went and waved them down like, "Hey, don't forget
Oh,
this."
look, and right when they were getting ready to leave, the little brother was naked. He kept rubbing his penis on our furniture.
he kept running out of the room naked with no clothes on while we were I'm trying to kick her out, and he keeps running out of the room naked, and she go, "Oh, I'm sorry," and she'd usher him back into the
And
room.
he was rubbing it. So we got
He rolled around on. He didn't.
We got
rub it,
leather
Kevin.
furniture in the den. He rubbing
He
his
did not do
Johnson on the
that.
furniture.
He did not do that, y'all.
Okay.
That's too much. He did lay and roll around on the furniture with his naked body. You can only imagine how weird all of this was.
With a brand new baby.
But that was the last time we were like, okay, that's over.
That's the last.
I think we
guest,
let the
yeah.
travel nurse come back a couple
We
of
did
times.
because she was a regular guest.
She was a regular guest.
Yeah, but everybody else, we stopped it at that point.
So,
at our
mean,
house.
It was a good idea in theory. We just aren't built for. We aren't built for it. So I think we'll stick to real estate and let everybody else handle that Airbnb
So we're gonna build new
business.
homes and we're gonna run this realtor team, and that's all we got.
That's about it.
That's the real estate part of the marriage real estate now, because we've done it all.
Yeah.
But what we stuck with is this. So
True. So thanks for listening to our Airbnb
we
stories.
hope it was enjoyable.
Look, and for those of you that are thinking about Airbnb, I mean, there's plenty of resources out there. Give it a go.